Hey everybody, I'm Todd with Sweet Tea Guitars. Thank you so much for stopping by the channel and welcome to my life. Alright you guys, so I decided to take a break from the 3 builds I got going on in here right now. The Strat, which is hanging up behind me. I've got the giveaway build. And then I've got the Unity build, which has been sitting for a while. We're going to jump back on that eventually. I'm trying to get the Strat finished so Gio and I can get the final video released in that series. And I want to get the giveaway build done so I can give one of you guys that guitar. It's probably been a couple of months ago now. Paul Cook, and most of you guys will know who Paul is. He's a fellow moderator on the Crimson live stream just like I am. He and I talk back and forth sometimes, both in the comments on YouTube, back and forth on Instagram, and we email each other as well. Well, about 2 months ago, I got an email from Paul asking if I would be up for doing some Luthier work for a fellow guitar enthusiast. His name is Jesse, Jammin' Jesse, for those of you guys who hang out at the Crimson live streams. He needed some work done to an older Squire Stratocaster. This is an Affinity series, but it's in phenomenally good shape considering how old this thing is. I can tell it's got some age on it just from the discoloration on the pick guard, but this guitar is in really super good shape. There was some super glue built up right here on the first fret and up here around fret number 10, right up in here. Well, I started cleaning the super glue off a little while ago, and I wasn't sure if I was going to make a video on this thing or not. But I figured, what the hell, why not do it? So, I've cleaned the super glue buildup off the fretboard already. Well, I started to notice when I was sanding to get this back smooth again, that the sandpaper was almost immediately clogging up, and I looked, and it looks like someone over the years has used furniture polish or furniture wax on this fretboard, which is Indian rosewood, as you guys can see. It's nice to keep them moisturized, to keep them from drying out and getting all brittle and splintery and cracked or whatever, but they do not require a hard finish. And I don't know if that's just inherent of the Squires, whether they finish the whole neck or not to keep them from having to tape off the fretboard. But this fretboard's got finish on it. And I think it's wax. As I said, it's almost immediately clogging up my sandpaper when I go to clean this off. So what I've decided I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this whole neck with some wax and grease remover, which is a mild solvent. It's mainly alcohol. I think it's got a little xylene in it, but that may be hot enough to cut this wax off of this fretboard so I can get a nice clean finish on this thing. These frets are pretty low, but I think they've got one more crown on them. I think I can get one more crown out of these frets, and if I can, this guitar should play like butter. I've taken my Crimson notched straight edge already, and I've laid it down on this neck. And one of the problems I noticed immediately that I think Jesse may have been having, this neck's got back bow in it. It's very little, but it's enough to cause it to fret out in the center of the fretboard. So we're going to get this neck straight. I'm going to clean up between every fret. We'll tape the fretboard up. I'll run a leveling beam with probably like 600-800 grit because I do not want to remove too much material. I mainly just want to check them for level. If it's needed, I could probably take a couple of thousandths off of it without having to worry too much about it. We'll see what we can get done. Anyway, I'm just going to spray some wax and grease remover on a rag, and we're going to see if we can get this finish, whatever this is, off of here. Then we'll just continue cooking along on this thing. I'll really spend some time on here tomorrow. I've got a couple of days while I wait on the parts I need to finish the Strat. This will not hurt this finish on the guitar. That's one reason why I wanted to use this. This is a solvent, but it's not like lacquer thinner or anything like that. As a matter of fact, I doubt very seriously lacquer thinner would even hurt this thing. I just want to see if I can get this saturated and we can get most of this finish wiped off. I know it's not going to take it all off because this is built up from years. These fret ends feel nice. I don't feel any sprout on it, on this neck. This is working really good. Anyway, we'll come back tomorrow, do a proper fret job, or a fret leveling and crowning job on this thing. We'll get them polished up. I'll get this fretboard cleaned up, get it playing like it should. I got a feeling we're going to add some negative bow to our neck so it's like this, just a little. A couple of thousandths actually, very minimal. But I think this neck's going to require just a little bit of negative relief, especially considering how low these frets are. I really don't want to get into a refret right now. I've got so much work going on in the shop. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Actually, it's only been seconds since I talked to you guys last, but it's the next day for me. We're going to be fine. This guitar should play so much better when I'm done with this. We're just going to crack on with this thing. What I'm using to start with is a red Merca Merlon. It's like a Scotch-Brite pad. I think it's like a 1200 grit or something like that, but I find these more useful than using like a 1200 grit sandpaper because they'll get down in the crevices. It's a non-woven material, so it kind of sheds whatever finish gets built up on here. You can just kind of, you know, fold it around a different way or whatever, and you can continue to use it. So I'm just going across the fretboard like this with these things, frets and all. And this stuff's working really great for this too. So I'm really happy that I was the one that was chosen to be able to do this work. And now I get to share it with you guys. So just another testament to the power of this beautiful community. You guys know I love it. I'm going to go ahead and go through these fret rubbers and we'll just work our way up the fretboard. So that was our coarse fret rubber. We're going to go to our medium. And we're going to do the same thing in the same order. We're just going to work our way up the fretboard with every grit here. I've got some scissors, and what we'll do is cut a piece of this in half lengthwise. Roughly in half, doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to wrap it as close to one side as I can. That way I can move the grit as we go over this fretboard. All right, so that's got us at 1200. Let's move to 1500. We'll do the same exact thing. Again, we don't have to spend too long. We just want to get rid of the scratches from the grit we used before. And in this case, 1200. All right, there's our 1500. Let's go to 2000. Let's take a little fretboard cleaner. All right. Notched straight edge from crimson. And we're going to check this neck for flatness. All right, we've got significant relief. I want to run this back the other direction to confirm my suspicions. This neck is not flat. What I want to check now is our frets. If our frets can get flat, we can overcome some of this millimeter or so that this neck's out. Okay, we look pretty flat on the frets. Now we can tape up our fretboard because I'm not going to get this any closer. This is not really that uncommon. They don't take the time at the factory on these things to get everything perfect. Even on some upper end guitars, I've seen some pretty inexcusable things. And if you guys watch Crimson, you'll know that there is no company that's immune to it. I've seen them rip PRS. I've seen them rip Gibson. I've seen them rip Fender. They've all had their issues. The main thing is that we get this guitar playable, and I feel certain we can accomplish that. Because when I say it's out, it's not that far, but it can't be made perfectly flat. It looks like to me, based on what I'm seeing with the straight edge, that we are high in this area of the neck. I got my leveling beam right here. We've got a slightly used piece of 400 on this leveling beam. I'm going to draw up these frets. Okay, very gently. So I worked and got these frets as level as I possibly can, with the neck as level as I can possibly get it as well. And right now I'm using this Baroque fret crowning file because I don't want to remove too much material, and this thing actually does a really good job. It's a $30 file. I got it on Amazon. I can see my line that it's leaving. I'm shooting for about a 1/2 millimeter. I'm not going to go any further with the crowning process than that. Now we're going to take a fret end dressing file. I'm going to use the Crimson file for this. I like it, it's flexible. These frets are already beveled. I'm mainly taking the burr off. I'm going to take this 1200 grit sandpaper. I'm going to wrap this around our fret rubber. These things will be bright and shiny when I'm done. And you can do it with the fret rubber like that. What I really like to do is wrap a piece around my finger. What that does is helps to develop the round shape that the fret needs on the top. We're back in the shop. Tonight's Friday, March the 17th. We're going to get back on this thing. I've got the frets ready to buff. I've got my buffer loaded up with this is a 6-inch sewn cotton wheel. This is a little bit heavier cut than what I would use on like a body. But since we're polishing frets with it, I don't think it's going to cause us a problem. I am using Dialux Blanc, and they make all different colors of this rouge. Lots of jewelry makers use this stuff. This is really good compound for polishing frets. I'm just going to get after it. I've already got the wheel loaded up, and when you go to load compound on a buffing wheel, there's more to it than just holding it there and doing that, you know. What you want to do is hold it gently on the surface and let the buffing pad, the friction between the buffing pad and the compound bar, heat the bar up a little bit so it actually starts to release some of that compound so it can get embedded down in those fibers. And we're not going to go like too overboard on our pressure because, as I said, I am using a firmer pad than I would normally use. Oh, that is working so beautifully. And I like to just go down through here and get each individual fret. That way I'm sure not to miss anything. Some guys go back and forth. You want to keep a firm hold on the guitar because a buffing wheel will jerk it out of your hand if it catches it the wrong way. Give it one final once over. Just back and forth to make sure I get down in the little crevices. Applying very little pressure again. Turn it up on its side so we can make sure we get down beside those frets. There's no voids, no little dings or nicks or sand and scratches or anything like that left on any of these. That gets rid of them all. All right, you guys, so this is where we are now. And as you can see, I got all the old gunk, the finish, the wax buildup, whatever that was on this fretboard. It looked like years of wax buildup from using furniture polish to me. I could be wrong about that though, this being a Squire. They may just have not taken the time to tape up this neck when they spray finished it and just sprayed finish on the whole thing. I've seen that done before. Anyway, that's gone. We're back down to bare rosewood at this point, which I like way better, and I think Jesse's going to like it a lot better as well. I'm going to take this neck off of this guitar so we can buff this body properly. I can't wait to see what this is going to turn out like. This being a black guitar, buffing it, putting a coat of wax on it, after we buff it, this thing's going to look sweet. So it's a 1997 Squire Affinity series Stratocaster. It looks like they did shim the front side of the neck pocket to get the fit right, or maybe to adjust the scale length. You can see that right there. They've got like a piece of gaffer's tape or something inside of there. I'll leave that like it is so we don't run into issues when we go to set the intonation. I've already loaded up my buffing wheel with Manzurna 495p. This is what I use. This is the only Manzurna that I buy. You can get this in various grits, and this is a number 4 finish compound. I use liquid compound for anything that's rough, or if I've got a lot of orange peel on paint or whatever, I'll use the Ferekla G360 super fast compound, then go to the Manzurna. A bar compound's a little bit less messy to deal with on a buffing wheel, so that is one advantage. We'll do the back first. Now we'll obviously wipe this down by hand, but that is doing a great, great job. There's a scratch on the back. I'm going to work on that and see if I can't get that taken care of. What we'll do to make that a little quicker, I'll take some of this G360. We'll just rub a little right there on that scratch. And anywhere else back here I see any little superficial scratches, we'll touch it with this Ferekla. As I said, we're not going to go overboard. I'm pretty sure the Ferekla will make quick work of those scratches. All right, I don't think I'm going to get it much better than that. Buff this thing down with this soft cloth. It looks really good. We're going to spray this fretboard down with this fretboard and finish cleaner, and I'm going to wipe this down really good. What I want to do is make sure that this gets down in this grain of this rosewood and gets any of that sanding dust or any of that finish that may be left on here. I want to get that out. We've got Crimson Fretboard Restorative. We're going to saturate this rag with it. Not completely saturated, but I do want a good bit on there. Jesse sent me a set of strings. 942s, I think's what he sent. Ernie balls, which I'm absolutely fine with. The things we have left to do to this guitar, we need strings on it to be able to sort that out. So let's get the tools we need. All right. One quickly strung Squire Stratocaster. All right, you guys, let's get this thing intonated. So I've already done the E string. I forgot to hit record. So what I want to do is stretch out this string as I go here. We'll tune it. We're in A. Harmonic. We're good. So what I've done with these saddles before I started this, I put everything on the scale length line. I took a measurement from the leading edge of our nut to where our saddles were riding. I put that at 648 millimeters. So it's actually a little away from the nut, 0.2 millimeters or 0.3 millimeters or so away from the scale length line. But on a tremolo guitar, that's where I like to start. I'll do the same thing on the Floyd when I set it up for my Strat that I'm doing for the Ultimate Strat collaboration. Let's stretch the D string out. We'll tune it. In tune. We're good. So if you're sharp, you need to go closer to the nut. If you're flat, you need to go further away. When I build guitars, I try to place my scale length line a little beyond 648 millimeters, like 648.2. That pretty much allows me, if I start with my saddles in the center of their travel, if it's not perfect intonation, which you're almost never going to get unless you're really lucky, your saddles are normally going to have to move towards the nut. You know, that's just how I like to do it. Everybody's got their preference. B string, also inherently problematic on some guitars. We're flat, so we're going to need to go away from the nut. Good. Stretch this bottom E out really good. Sounds sharp. Let's give her one more tune. All right, you guys, we're going to wrap it up right here. So here's Jesse's guitar. This thing turned out beautifully. It plays great. I got the action really low. Slight adjustment on the truss rod. I didn't really have to adjust the saddles up or down at all. I left them like they were. We set the intonation. It's perfect. Really great. This is a great playing guitar. It plays just like a Strat. Jesse, brother, I hope you enjoy this guitar for many years to come. Again, I'm honored that I was asked to do this. Paul Cook, thank you, brother. I really appreciate you reaching out to me initially and getting me involved in this. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. I got tons of content planned for the summer, and I hope you guys are going to enjoy it. I got a couple of videos coming out really soon here, so be on the lookout for those. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date as I release all this stuff. And as always, you guys, until the next video, peace and love.